and then you have JakePaul, JervontaDavis. That's the state of boxing.
Yeah, that's
right
crazy.
Let that sink in.
JakePaul, Gervonta is so crazy. Yeah. 135 versus 200. That is so nuts.
They go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him. Yes. He recognizes that he's too big for him.
One thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding. If he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later.
Joe Rogan talked about the highly hyped JakePaul versus GervontaDavis fight, warning that this could get ugly. He reminded everyone that weight classes exist for safety, saying Jake's size and strength give him a big edge, while Davis's skill and speed make it interesting. Still, the huge physical gap could make it dangerous and unfair.
My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love everybody.
That had nothing to do with them. That was JakePaul promoting it. You know, it's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia, so it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in. They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in.
Rogan keeps stressing the massive weight difference. Jake fights around 195 to 200 pounds, while Davis has always been at 135 pounds.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion JervontaDavis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, JakePaul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Many boxing purists and commissions criticized the fight, saying such a big mismatch wouldn't normally be allowed. Even with catch weights or exhibition rules, they say it hurts the sport's credibility.
100%. He should beat JakePaul, shouldn't he?
No, he shouldn't.
But you don't think? Sorry. So, I thought we were all unanimous here. You think that
shouldn't?
You think JakePaul beats JervontaDavis?
70 pounds is 70 pounds.
JervontaDavis is very small. 5'5".
He's tiny, bro. That's what I'm
saying.
JakePaul, 6'1". He's a little man.
If JakePaul's tucking up,
move on,
and absorbing punishment for walking forward, then look, there's a weight advantage.
Rogan said this is more of a show than a competition. 135 versus 200 is just crazy, he said, warning that a heavier fighter's punches can cause serious harm. Even if Davis is more skilled, the weight difference puts him at high risk.
In boxing, so you got Canelo Crawford, you got Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, that's happening, and then you have JakePaul, JervontaDavis. That's the state of boxing.
Yeah, that's
right now.
crazy.
Let that sink in.
JakePaul, JervontaDavis is so crazy. 135 versus 200. That is so nuts.
They're all exhibitions.
None of them are.
They're exhibitions.
But what does that mean?
Just means you don't really. Nobody wins.
They're not. Right. It's kind of. I mean,
it's weird.
I don't want Jake to assume they're not. It's not like a real scrap. It's not real.
Really? So they're not trying to knock each other out?
No.
Well, Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather don't like each other. They have not liked each other forever.
Tyson and Mayweather.
Yes.
But they like
Mike
money.
Tyson and Mayweather don't like each other.
Huh.
If there's a fight that might be real, like where Mike Tyson might say, I'm going to knock this out, or I'm going to try to knock this motherfucker out.
Due to safety concerns, the fight is labeled an exhibition, meaning it won't count on records. It'll have a 195 lb catch weight, larger gloves, and even judges despite being unofficial.
If you do fight, what weight would it be at?
195.
Oh, wow. So he would go all the way from 40 to 95?
Yeah, I mean, it would be an exhibition.
Okay. Okay. But, and so what does that mean? Is that 3-minute rounds?
Yeah, 10 3-minute rounds.
And when you say exhibition, like, what are the restrictions on that?
No restrictions, just the fact that like we couldn't actually get it professionally sanctioned.
Daniel Cormier agreed, calling the weight gap insane. He said Jake Paul is too big and that the fight feels more like entertainment than sport. He questioned how such a lopsided match got approval.
It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. JervontaDavis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that like every time when Jake Paul would say something to JervontaDavis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to like P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. He's like, I thought it was
bad,
190, it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him. Yes. He recognizes that he's too big for him.
Cormier explained that fighters often cut and regain weight, which makes fights like this extra dangerous. Jake could rehydrate and enter the ring much heavier and stronger, making the imbalance worse.
I think it's the most dangerous thing in the world. With us, we would go on Thursday night. If I weighed 216 and I had to be 205 by Friday morning, I would get as low as I possibly could and then try to go to bed. So if I'd get to 207, I would hope that by the morning I'd be 206. I'd only have to lose a pound in the morning. So I'm dehydrated for 12, 13, 14 hours. Those guys today are going to bed at that weight, Joe, 10, 11 over, and waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and cutting the weight. Because they said if they cut all that weight, they don't sleep, which I can attest to. It don't matter how much melatonin you take, you're so dehydrated. You're not gonna get a good night's sleep. I think it's dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Because you have to cut 10 pounds in 4 hours. If you don't, you're screwed. Because the worst possible feeling, you expect to lose 8, but you might lose 6 or 5.5. And then you're like.
Cormier also said the fight setup feels poorly organized. He recalled Davis looking unsure about the weight class during the press conference, a clear sign of how unstructured the whole event is.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to JervontaDavis. And 2, JervontaDavis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight JervontaDavis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And Coach Calvin Ford said he's concerned but supportive. His biggest issue is glove size. He wanted Davis to wear 8 Oz gloves and Jake 10 Oz, but Paul's camp refused.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake, he fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s, so he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, they said, put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers. They was, no, we don't want to do no mixed match. It's supposed to be an expedition. Why does it matter? What, you know, now y'all want the wins and the loss. You know what I'm saying? All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tank don't really care, you know. So when I brought this up, he said, dang, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, again, you know, he can wait at 10s and we wait at 8s. Then we got to fight.
Ford said Davis took the fight for exposure and opportunity, not just competition. They were preparing for a Lamont Roach rematch, but the Jake Paul fight offered bigger rewards and visibility.
How are we with everything, man? How's Tank been?
In a good headspace, great headspace, looking good, you know, just trying to go through our stages, you know, it's like pre-camp, then camp, you know, get them from, we ain't fought in a while, you know what I'm saying? We was getting prepared for a Roach, and then we got blessed with this fight. That's how I look at it, you know.
Interesting comment there that they were getting ready for the Roach rematch, and then this fight was, you know, he said they got blessed with this fight, but this fight came through. So the plan was actually to go and rematch Lamont Roach, which is something that I think he should have done. I think they you know, for Tank's legacy, for, you know, just the sanctity of pro boxing when it comes to a world champion and what they do with that world championship belt, I think he should have taken the Lamont Roach rematch. It seems like they were going to, but the obvious reason that everyone, I think, knows why they didn't is because Netflix and a Jake Paul fight come with a massive bag. Like, there's probably no comparison to what Tank will make to fight Lamont Roach or anybody else compared to Jake Paul. Whether you like that or not, it's the truth. He is a money fight, and so is Tank. And that's why they're going to do a shit ton of viewers on Netflix and why they're going to both make a shit ton of money. So the point I want to take away from that is that they were starting to get their minds and body ready for Lamont Roach, which means that Tank was in somewhat of a serious pre-camp, right? Somewhat of a serious, you know, workout regimen, getting himself in shape. Not that Tank is super out of shape out of camp. I don't know that. But this means that he was mentally preparing for a fight regardless. It's not hopping off the couch Tank, which is not what you want to see even against Jake Paul, because the least serious you take Jake, and I've said this about everybody that's fought him, the ones that don't take him serious, the ones that say he's a YouTuber and everything else, they end up losing, or they end up looking like, oh, wait a second, this guy was a little better than I thought. They end up either getting taken by surprise or actually sometimes losing because they don't realize that Jake actually takes it serious. So this is good to hear. Just already, right off the rip, they were already doing something.
Surprise. So tell me, you know, when did you hear about this?
They've been going back and forth for years. Tank and Jake, they've been going at it for years, and it would have happened sooner, you know what I'm saying, but we have hiccups in life. That's what I call it, hiccups, but they lessons to learn from. But we back on track, and we're keeping it moving.
When you heard about the fight, were you like, wait, what? Like, we're doing what?
Actually, when I heard about the fight, they called me and said, what you thought about the fight? I say, the fight doable.
Rogan believes Jake Paul's fights are about hype, not skill. He said Jake uses boxing to stay relevant, while Davis accepted the fight for financial security, not legacy. For him, it's a business move, not a title chase.
That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching
it bothers the
it
fuck
is
out of
hard.
me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also like. Man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird
They're just trying to draw you in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Yeah.
Experts were shocked that Davis would risk so much for money. Cormier said it looks like bad management, arguing Davis should protect his legacy instead of taking risky paydays.
Then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. I thought
That's
it was
bad,
190,
D.
it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
I'm wondering how this even came about. It can't be that JervontaDavis needs money. That can't be the reason why
He's been a world
taking this
champion
fight.
so recently. How could he be broke?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he doing this for money? And then why and how is even Jake Paul doing this when no one respects it? Like, I can't think of anybody that respects this.
But Jake Paul has been able to carve out and make his own lane in boxing, and I've never seen anything like it, bro. He literally, I mean, we don't know what weight class he fights in any situation. We just don't know. He kind of makes his own rules.
He makes his own rules.
And it seems like people are playing by those rules.
Cormier blasted boxing organizations for approving this uneven matchup, calling it a disgrace. He said they care more about money and views than fighter safety, turning boxing into entertainment.
A couple weeks ago, the WBC and the Jose Sulaiman was very upset that he wasn't going to be able to put the belt on the winner at Canelo versus Crawford. That's the thing that's happened since the beginning of the time. Those guys are very powerful in boxing. But with Zuffa boxing, it was almost like that power was getting stripped away. They were very disappointed. But how can you take those sanctioning organizations seriously when they are sanctioning this?
That's my point. That's my point. That's why I think that this whole thing that we have, this boxing and this MMA argument and Zuffa getting into boxing, our argument is misplaced because things like this should not be happening. And the fact that boxing is allowing this to happen is an embarrassment to the sport.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
Do you think Jake Paul versus GervontaDavis is a real fight or just a money grab? Share your thoughts below.